The villagers whispered of the old manor on the hill, abandoned and eerie, where it was said a cursed mirror resided. The stories were well known in our small, isolated village, but few dared to venture near the dilapidated mansion. I was always curious, perhaps too curious for my own good. My name is Eleanor, and this is my story. It was a dreary autumn afternoon when I first felt the inexplicable pull toward the manor. The sky was overcast, casting a pallid light over the landscape. The air was crisp, carrying a sense of foreboding. As I approached the manor, the once grand entrance loomed before me, the heavy wooden door slightly ajar, as if beckoning me inside. I stepped over the threshold, my footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. Dust motes floated in the air, disturbed by my presence. The interior was a maze of decaying opulence, with tattered drapes and broken furniture scattered about. My heart raced as I navigated through the dimly lit corridors, each creak of the floorboards amplifying my anxiety. In the heart of the manor, I found the mirror. It was grand, almost regal, standing tall in a room that seemed to have been a parlour in its prime. The frame was intricately carved, tarnished by time but still imposing. I hesitated for a moment, the villagers' warnings echoing in my mind. But curiosity got the better of me. I took a deep breath and stepped closer, wiping the thick layer of dust from the mirror's surface with a trembling hand. As the grime cleared, my reflection gradually emerged. But it wasn't quite right. My eyes, normally a warm hazel, gleamed with an unnatural light. I leaned in, unable to look away. The mirror seemed to shimmer, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of movement behind me. My heart pounded as I spun around, but the room was empty. I turned back to the mirror, only to see my reflection smiling, though my own lips remained still. A chill ran down my spine, and I stumbled back, my mind racing with fear and confusion. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The mirror haunted my thoughts, and I began to see flashes of that eerie reflection in my mind. I tried to ignore it, but it was as if the mirror had imprinted itself on my very soul. One night, as I lay in bed, I was jolted awake by a faint whisper. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. My room was dark, save for the moonlight filtering through the curtains. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, drawing me out of bed and toward the manor once again. I found myself standing before the mirror in the dead of night, its surface now glowing faintly in the darkness. The air around it felt heavy, charged with a malevolent energy. I knew I had to do something, but I was terrified. Summoning all my courage, I reached out and touched the glass. The instant my fingers made contact, I was engulfed in a whirlwind of emotions and memories, not all of them mine. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and I was pulled into a vision of the past. I saw the manor in its heyday, filled with laughter and light, but there was an underlying darkness, a presence that lurked just out of sight. The vision shifted, showing me glimpses of people I didn't recognize, villagers from long ago, each falling victim to the mirror's curse. Their faces twisted in agony, their eyes reflecting the same sinister light that had haunted my own reflection. I realized then that the mirror was not just a cursed object, but a malevolent entity, feeding on the fears and insecurities of those who gazed into it. The vision faded, and I found myself back in the parlour, gasping for breath. The mirror's surface was calm once more, but I knew it was only a matter of time before it struck again. Determined to end the curse, I sought out the village elders, hoping they could provide some answers. The elders were reluctant to speak of the mirror, their faces pale with fear. They told me of a time when the manor was occupied by a wealthy but cruel family, who used the mirror to torment those who displeased them. The mirror, they said, had absorbed the family's cruelty and malice, becoming a vessel for their dark spirits. Armed with this knowledge, I returned to the manor, determined to confront the evil within the mirror. I spent hours researching ancient texts and speaking with anyone who might know how to break the curse. It became clear that the mirror's power lay in its ability to reflect and amplify the darkest aspects of a person's soul. I devised a plan to trap the entity within the mirror and destroy it once and for all. I gathered the necessary items: a blessed cloth, a vial of holy water, and a hammer. As night fell, I made my way back to the manor, my resolve steeled by the knowledge that I was the village's last hope. The manor was even more foreboding in the darkness, its shadows seeming to writhe with malevolent intent. I entered the parlour and stood before the mirror, feeling its malevolent gaze upon me. I began the ritual, chanting the incantations I had learned, hoping they would be enough to weaken the entity. The mirror's surface began to ripple once more, and I saw my reflection twist and contort, its eyes blazing with fury. The entity fought back, filling the room with a deafening roar. But I held my ground, reciting the incantations with renewed fervour. The room grew colder, and I felt an invisible force pressing down on me, trying to break my concentration. But I refused to yield. I splashed the mirror with holy water, and it hissed and smoked, the entity's screams echoing through the room. With a final shout, I wrapped the mirror in the blessed cloth, muffling its cries. I raised the hammer, my hands shaking, and brought it down with all my strength. The mirror shattered into countless pieces, each shard glowing briefly before fading into darkness. As the mirror broke, a wave of energy swept through the room, and I was thrown to the ground. The malevolent presence dissipated, its power broken. I lay there for a moment, gasping for breath, before slowly rising to my feet. The villagers who had vanished began to reappear, stumbling out of the shadows, disoriented but alive. Their eyes were no longer haunted by the sinister light, and they embraced their loved ones with tears of relief and joy. Exhausted but triumphant, I knew that the village was safe once more. The curse had been lifted, and the manor's dark history could finally be laid to rest. I vowed to ensure that the cursed artifacts would never again see the light of day, protecting future generations from the horrors we had endured. As I walked away from the manor for the last time, I couldn't help but feel a sense of bittersweet satisfaction. I had faced my darkest fears and emerged victorious. But the memories of the mirror's malevolent gaze would haunt me forever. The village slowly returned to its peaceful rhythm, the terror of the past months gradually fading into a distant memory. The old manor was sealed off, its secrets buried with the broken shards of the cursed mirror. Life went on, but I remained vigilant, always on the lookout for any signs of lingering darkness. The experience had changed me, making me more cautious and wary of the unknown. But it had also given me a newfound strength, a resilience forged in the crucible of fear. The villagers, too, had been changed by the ordeal. They were more united, more appreciative of the simple joys of life. The bonds we had forged in the face of terror were unbreakable, and we were stronger for having faced the darkness together. I continued to study the occult, seeking to understand the forces that had nearly destroyed us. Knowledge, I realized, was our best defense against the unknown. I became the village's unofficial guardian, always prepared to face any threat that might arise. In time, the story of the cursed mirror became just another legend, a cautionary tale told to children to keep them from venturing into the old manor. But for those of us who had lived through it, the memory was all too real. The mirror was gone, but its lessons remained. We learned to be wary of our own reflections, to confront our fears rather than letting them consume us. The manor on the hill stood as a silent reminder of the darkness that once lurked within its walls. And so, life went on. The seasons changed, and the village thrived. But I never forgot the terror of that autumn, the haunted eyes staring back at me from the cursed mirror. It was a lesson in the power of fear and the strength it takes to face it head-on. I often found myself gazing at my own reflection, searching for any sign of the sinister light that had once haunted my eyes. But all I saw was a determined woman, stronger and wiser for having faced the darkness and emerged victorious. The villagers sometimes asked me about the mirror, their curiosity piqued by the stories they had heard. I would tell them the truth, warning them of the dangers that lurked in the shadows and the importance of confronting their fears. The old manor remained abandoned, a relic of a dark past. But it no longer held the power it once did. The curse had been broken, and the village was safe. We had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, forever changed but stronger for it. And so, we lived our lives, always mindful of the lessons we had learned. The village thrived, its people united by the trials they had faced together. The story of the cursed mirror became a distant memory, a tale to be told around the hearth on cold winter nights. But for me, the memory was always close at hand. I carried it with me, a reminder of the power of fear and the strength it takes to overcome it. The mirror was gone, but its lessons remained, etched into my soul. I found solace in the knowledge that we had faced the darkness and won. The village was safe, and the malevolent entity that had haunted us was no more. But I remained vigilant, always ready to face whatever new challenges might come our way. Life in the village returned to normal, but the bonds we had forged in the face of terror remained strong. We had faced our darkest fears and emerged victorious, stronger and more united for having done so. The old manor stood as a silent sentinel, a reminder of the darkness that once lurked within its walls. But it no longer held the power it once did. The curse had been broken, and the village was safe. I continued to study the occult, seeking to understand the forces that had nearly destroyed us. Knowledge was our best defense against the unknown, and I was determined to be prepared for whatever may come our way. I delved deeper into ancient texts, seeking to uncover the secrets of the supernatural and ensure that we were never caught off guard again. And so life in the village went on, but we were forever changed by our encounter with the cursed mirror. We had faced our darkest fears and emerged victorious, stronger and more united than ever before. And though the memory of that fateful autumn would always linger in the back of our minds, we knew that we were prepared to face whatever challenges the future may hold.